Hello everyone. So I'm going to do an updated video on how I make my roast beef in the crock pot. I have a whole pack here, 16 ounces of Bella mushrooms, baby Bella mushrooms that I did take the stems off and I rinsed them. I have 7 carrots here. Now they're pretty large, so if they happen not to fit in the crock pot, I'll just put the remainder in the fridge. I have this bag of the small potatoes. I'm gonna rinse those off before putting them in the crock pot. We have some allspice, some Better Than Bouillon beef base. I do use this for when I make the gravy the next day. And sometimes I do put a little bit in with the roast beef, which I may do tonight. We have some onion powder, garlic powder, paprika, black pepper, and the Lipton Recipe Secrets onion, the soup mix. Now there is 2 packs in here. My roast beef is a rump roast. It is 2.65 pounds. So I'm gonna start with 1 packet, but I like to totally cover the roast beef. So if I happen to need to use the other pack, then I definitely will. So I'm going to rinse off my potatoes, cut the ends off the carrots and cut them up, cut the onion. Oh, and I am gonna use 1 full onion as well, one sweet onion. So I'm going to get the carrots cut up, rinse the potatoes, and I'll be back once it's time to put everything in the crock pot. Okay, I got my roast in the crock pot. I don't have it turned on yet. We're gonna put all the spices on it here in a minute. Got my mushrooms sliced up, my onions sliced up. I like mine in bigger chunks, but if you want to dice them up smaller, you can definitely do that. Cut my carrots up, and again, if you want them in smaller pieces, you can cut them in smaller pieces. And I rinsed off my potatoes. Because these are the little baby potatoes, I do not cut them. That way they don't get mushy. At least for me, they do not. So yeah, I'm going to start with the spices. We're gonna put garlic powder, onion powder, a couple dashes of allspice, black pepper, a little bit of paprika, and then we're gonna get the Lipton onion soup mix onto the roast, and we're going to cover all sides, and I'll show you what it looks like as soon as I'm done. Okay, so I already did the other side and I just flipped it back over so I can show you guys. I put a couple shakes of paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, allspice, and then we're going to take the Lipton. This is about half left because I did do the other side, and we're just going to sprinkle it all over. And I think I'm just gonna use the one since this is not a big roast. So yes, just 1 packet today since it's not a big roast. What I'm gonna do is take a spoon and just make sure the whole roast is covered. And then I'll be back to show you the next step. Okay, I smushed it on there as much as I could with a spoon. Now I'm gonna take just like a little spoon of, about like this, of the Better Than Bouillon beef base, and I'm just going to put it right in the bottom. Just like so. And I forgot to mention this in the very beginning. We're going to put in 1 cup of the unsalted beef broth. So in there is the beef base. We're just going to pour that in there. And I'm going to put the rest in the fridge. That way, when I make my homemade gravy out of the juices from here, if I need more, I can definitely use the rest of the beef broth. So now we're just gonna put in all of the vegetables. I start with the carrots because they take the longest. Now I am gonna put this on low all night in the crock pot until tomorrow. So yeah, I'm gonna just do carrots first, potatoes, probably put the onions last. That way the onion juices can run down over everything, and put the mushrooms in. I'll show you what it looks like once I get everything in. But yes, now this piece of rump roast, it only has this area right here of fat, but I always cook the fat up. So sometimes like this whole side will be covered with fat, and I always cook it with the fat side up, not down. So I'll show you what it looks like once I get everything into the crock pot. Okay, so everything did fit. All of the potatoes, the entire bag of potatoes I should say, all of the carrots that I cut up, And I did just, that's a little bit of beef base right there from the spoon. I just wiped it on the onion. So yes, now we're just going to turn it on. We're going to put it on low, and I'm doing 10 hours. And I'll show you all what it looks like tomorrow when it is all done. And this will make your house smell wonderful. Hello everyone. Okay, my roast beef, carrots, potatoes, onions, and mushrooms is done. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my baster. I'm gonna get the majority of the juice out of here for my homemade gravy. So I just go like this and get it over into this other pan. So once I get it all over into the other pan, I'll show you how I make my homemade gravy. Okay, so I got the majority of the juice out of the crock pot from the roast beef and vegetables. Now there's little bits of onion, cooked onion and all that. That's totally fine. You can just leave it as is. I'm going to add the remainder of the beef broth from, I took a cup out of it and added it to the crock pot. So I'm going to use the remainder of this, and more than likely this one as well, because I love gravy and I want to get it up to about here. So once I add the beef broth, I'm going to add the remainder, maybe almost a quarter of the jar of the Better Than Beef bouillon. Once it dissolves, I will give it a taste. If it needs more, I'll add more, but I'll let you know if I add more. I have the second one right here. Once this comes to a boil, or close to a boil, I'm going to get my cornstarch and cold water mixture ready. Because once it comes to a rolling boil, that's when I'm going to whisk the cornstarch mixture into the gravy, and you're just going to do that until it gets thick. So once I get this all going, I will be back to let you all know what I do next. Okay, so I did add the remainder of the jar that I had of the Better Than bouillon, the beef, and now I have a big spoon here. It's like a big tablespoon. So I just took a big spoonful out of the new jar, and I'm gonna add that as well. I did taste it, and it does need a little more beef flavor. So I'm gonna get that dissolved, and then I'll taste it again. Now I do not add salt to my gravy, and the reason why is because the Better Than bouillon can be a little salty. So once I get the beef flavor to where I want it to be, if I feel like it needs salt, then I will add some. I will also add the black pepper once the gravy is pretty much done. But yes, I do not add salt for that reason. I don't want it to be too salty. You can always add more salt. So I'm gonna get this dissolved and give it a taste, and I'll be back. Okay, that second heaping spoon has dissolved, and I did give it another taste. And I am going to add one more heaping spoon, and this should do it. We're just about there. But when I did taste it, you can tell that the beef, the Better Than bouillon, has the salt, because it definitely is getting saltier now. Not too salty, but so yeah, I'm going to get this dissolved. I'm going to give it another taste to be sure, and I'll keep you posted. Okay, we're just about at a boil here. And I also wanted to let you guys know, so when I say big spoons, this is the small spoon. Let's see if I can do it like this. Just trying to show you guys. So when I say big spoon, that's what I'm referring to. So I'm gonna use that, the big spoon. And I'm just gonna add one, kind of like heaping spoons. Just do a little bit more. So now I'm going to add cold filtered water to this bowl and use a fork and get it nice and smooth. And then as soon as my mixture comes to a rolling boil, I'm going to whisk this mixture in there and we'll get it thick. We're almost like we're almost at pancake consistency now. When you rub your, it's hard to do it with one hand, but when you rub it against the bottom, you'll feel that it's thick. So that's about the consistency of my cornstarch and water that I do. And then, like I said, once it gets to a rolling boil, once your mixture, then you're gonna slowly pour this in while it's boiling, but be careful because you know you will get steam, but you want to constantly mix as you're pouring this in. So you just want to keep whisking as you pour this in slowly. And I'll be back when it's finished. Okay, so what I'm going to do, it's not as thick as I want it, so that is perfectly fine. I'm going to add, I'm going to do another like 2 heaping spoons, about heaping. And I'm going to do just a little less water. I'm going to mix it up and then get it into the pan. Now, as you're boiling it, if your pan is too full, it could definitely boil over, especially when it starts getting, as it's getting thick. So if that happens, just carefully move it off of the heat. Definitely be careful because it is hot. So I'm gonna get this a little more water added, and then we're gonna get this thicker because I want it to be thicker. Okay, my gravy is done. I did turn off the heat. Now just keep in mind, as the gravy sits, with the heat off, it will definitely get thicker as well, but that is good for me. And I did taste it as well. Another thing to keep in mind, when you add cornstarch mixture, you definitely want to keep stirring. So I keep whisking. So I pretty much whisk it the entire time. If you happen to get it too thick, then what you can do is you can add a little bit of water, or a little bit of, if you have any of the beef stock left, you can add that as well. And you will notice as it's boiling, it boiled for a little bit and I had to do it a couple times to get it as thick as I wanted. I had to do the cornstarch mixture. So it will go down as it's boiling. You can see how much it went down, but I just turned the heat off. I tasted it, and that's another reason why I definitely do not add salt with using the Better Than Bouillon beef, because like as it is right now, it's perfect. It doesn't definitely not need any salt. Now, if you're going to be using something else, besides the Better Than Bouillon, then you may want to add salt. But I recommend, if you're going to do it how I do it, then definitely do not add salt until the very end. If you think it adds salt, then you can definitely go ahead and add it. But as soon as I get my plate all set up, I will show you what it looks like. Okay, dinner is finally done. There's the roast beef with the homemade gravy, carrots, potatoes, onion, and mushrooms. And there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me make it. If you try it, let me know how you like it. And that's all for now. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.